Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Hi, Bongo. Can I suggest someone you interview next? Sure. As long as it's a reasonable suggestion. It's not going to be a celebrity, is it? Afternoon, Roberto. We will reach out to anybody, see if they'll come have a chat. As usual, guys, just give it a moment. We have had some data out today, so I will go over the sort of data that we've had. I am watching CAD yen at the moment. Um, I just got stopped at break even at 108.80 on this pullback here, which is a little bit frustrating, and the market's starting to sort of take off to the upside. So I'm going to be looking for a potential other entry here. Obviously, there's two types of entries into this. There's obviously the strategy entry, which is the break above the 50. We've got the 20 and the 50 moving average here as well. We're very bullish CAD yen at the moment, looking for targets up at the 110 level. We're just starting to get to a little bit of a point now where we're getting into that exhaustion sort of zone at the moment. So yeah, still looking for longs though. Still looking for that yen play at the minute. Obviously, we've got the Bank of Japan governor speaking tomorrow, so we do have to be a little bit of aware of that happening. But at the moment, I'm seeing yen weakness until otherwise stated. Are they going to intervene? Essentially, there's been rumors of it. There's been no definites. So maybe we'll get some kind of comments on that tomorrow. But in that kind of grey area is where I'm living at the moment, and I'm still selling yen. But like I said, unfortunately, I've just been taken out at break even at 108.80. So I was in through here. Basically saw this candlestick, took a long position on a retrace, so managed to get in around about the 108.75s. I was about 75 pips to the good, so I ended up pulling my stops to break even. And yeah, was hoping the news would keep me out, or at least this low here would keep me out of the potential noise of today. But we've just extended back down to the 108.80, which is where I'd move my stop loss to, which is that yellow line there, just so I can show you there. And yeah, unfortunately, got taken out, and prices since then rallied 60 pips to the upside. So looking for an alternative entry potentially here. What I like to do is kind of look at my lower time frames, see what's going on. I've got this kind of zone down through here as well. I've got, it all kind of lining up on the higher time frame. So I'm going to essentially potentially look for a bit of a move in from perhaps this 109.15 handle. Let's just bring in the ATR. Have a little look. ATR, if I just go up to the daily time frame, it's around about 70 pips on the stop loss. So, like I said, we're coming into a little bit of a territory now where we're very close to that 110 handle. So the risk reward ratio at the minute is a little bit diminished. I taken along at the 108.75. I think I had a similar sort of 70 pip stop loss below that low in there. I still had 128 pips to the good, or 125, I think it is, pips to targets. So that's still a decent risk reward. However, I'm going to be looking for a position that's 43 pips beyond that, or 40 pips beyond that. And if that's the 109.15 with a 70 pip stop loss, will bring me around the 108 spot 46. And I've only got an 85 pip target. So you know, risk reward wise, not the best unless I try and bring it in a little bit tighter, try and just use the, let's see if there's any other things in the way for us. We've got this kind of trend line support running through here. You know, we might be able to span that a little bit further down as well, maybe into this kind of bullish sort of channel going on. Let me just bring that down a little bit further. So maybe, you know, that could be a bit of a blocking point. We've got the daily 4-hour 20 moving average there as well. So there's some kind of barriers in the way here. It's just, how do I try and maximize my sort of return in a move like this? So the only way I can think of doing that is by looking for that potential pullback entry in at the 109.15s. Maybe look at that 70 pip. But like I said, it's only just above that 1R there. So not the greatest. Can I go over the stop yet? So I'll just use an ATR. So I'll put the ATR on the screen. So if you go to insert indicators, average true range, what I do then is I always make sure I go up to the daily time frame. You know, I want to be using stop losses in line with daily volatility. So I'm looking at sort of the daily, saying around about 70 pips is the sort of volatility there. You could add a different type of ATR. So let's say you wanted a week's worth of ATR, you could put 5 there and then check the 5-day volatility. That was giving you 100 pips. So that would kind of wipe us out really of even considering this trade. You could have a 10-day ATR taking in the volatility of the past 10 days. Again, that's around about 105 pips. So for me, I like to use either a 2-day or a 1-day ATR. 1 day is obviously, it's a bit more of a sort of a rolling moment. So, you know, that's why I kind of look at the 2 ATR there on a daily time frame. It can be a little bit more aggressive. Obviously, if you go to the hourly time frame, it's going to suggest a 30 pip stop loss. Now, if that was the case, then our stop loss would be coming in ahead of those lows. That's not a safe place to place a stop loss. Let me just change the view again, guys. Sorry. Like that, and I can zoom in a little bit. You know, that's not the safe place to put a stop where we've just been stopped at break even, is it? So, you know, for me, that's not the safer option. Could you take a 4-hour potentially? That's saying about a 60 pip, but I think again, you know, I want to take daily volatility into account. That's saying 70 pips. I'm going to try and bring my stop around about 70 pips maximum, right? So that's the way I'm kind of looking at that at the minute. Like I said, you could take 2 types of entries using this strategy that I use. Entry above the high there. Again, the only problem is your risk reward ratio. If it starts to become negative, it doesn't make sense to take the trade. Although it could be a high probability trade, could be a high winning trade. This is a swing-based system, so you want a higher risk reward ratio because the probability of success is less, essentially. Okay. If you were a person that's a day trader and you're looking for minimal movements in the market and you're looking for maybe, you know, lower time frame entries, let's say you're looking at the 5-minute, for instance, and you're using a system on a 5-minute, what you could be waiting for again is the kind of pullback into the averages, into these highs here. Your stop loss could be a lot tighter, boosting that risk reward ratio. The only problem there is then you bring in your probability of success is way lower. You're more likely to be stopped out at that point. So that's the way I'm looking at it at the moment. But I do like CAD yen to the upside as well. But let me just say hello first. So I've kind of just jumped straight in there for once. Yeah, Bongo, if you're around, let me know who you want me to interview. Vincent, good afternoon. I'm good, thank you. How are you? To sharing, hello, mate. How are you? You are long Euro CAD and Euro Yen. Nice. Euro Yen longs, really good. Again, I actually am looking for a Euro Yen position, but price has not come back to anywhere of interest for me just yet. My only one that I liked last week was 155 in here. And yeah, I should have taken that really because price has rallied 260 pips since that point. But I like euro yen. If we look at it from a weekly perspective, we've got to zoom right out, but you can see the sort of next stop really from weekly highs. Let me just zoom out, sorry, is this sort of 168.75. There is another kind of level rocking through all of this consolidation here on the left-hand side, which is around about the 159. So 159 is also a little bit of a target for me on euro yen. And yeah, I'm watching this one fairly closely for an entry. Obviously, we've had ECB President Lagarde speaking today, and she's reaffirmed the need for further rate hikes from Europe. So depending on how the Bank of Japan situation goes tomorrow, you know, euro yen could still make it to the 159 handle, which is what I've been watching here, basically. So looking for a bit of a pullback first for me to get in. But if you're already in, that's a great move. Euro CAD, I don't think I have Euro CAD displayed, but I do like Euro strength. So if you are in any kind of Euro position, you know, Euro Aussie is continuing to go as well. And yeah, but I kind of like CAD long as well. So maybe Euro CAD's going to be a bit of a one that's battling each other. I don't know. How's that position going for you? Let's have a little look. Although we've just seen some CAD weakness from that data we've had, that CPI data. If we look at the 4-hour time frame, yeah, all I see is a box, right? So, you know, the way you trade, if you're in from the range lows, then great, you know, fantastic. If not, it might be a little bit of a currency pair that's going to have a bit of a battle, because euro strong, CAD strong, and not particularly great fundamentals for a trending market. But yeah, I'm still yen short, which is my play. Hopefully, Vincent, I went over that stop loss. Hopefully that was okay. Just watching gold because I'm in gold short as well. Bongo, please interview the transparent FX guy. Okay, yeah. I actually think we may have some association with transparent FX, so I'm pretty sure I can get onto that one. I will make a note somewhere. If you could ask him any question, Bongo, what would you ask him? What would you ask him? A personal question from you. Have a little think. Hi, Denise. Morning. Hi, Carrie. Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. I've never spoken to him personally, but I can definitely have a little chat with the guys and see if we can get in touch. See if he'd be willing to jump on. Did anybody watch the one with Stephen Hode, by the way? Really super interesting one. I hope you enjoyed that one. I really like that one. I wonder if anybody's looked at sort of into Renko's in that sense. Let me know what you guys are trading as well. We're going to go over a couple more. I actually was kind of watching cable. Now, obviously, I'm just showing the dollar index there, starting to gain a little bit of strength. Now, US dollar is in a little bit of an area of what's going to happen next. You know, we kind of trade in between the 103s, 102s. I kind of said in the previous, if we can trade above this 102, then we're probably more on the bullish side. I would have liked to have seen a close above 103 though, and we haven't had that yet. So a little bit of a mixed bag coming out of the US still. We're kind of flipping between strength and weakness, especially on the lower time frames. We did get some data. We had some the US CB consumer confidence that came in at 109.7 above the 102.5. I think we had as well. Let me just open up the filters here. We had new home sales as well. Came in a little bit above expectations at 763k, above the 680 revised from 683. So that came down, and then new home sales came in above expectations. So a little bit of a boost there for the dollar. Yeah, I'm short gold as well, Denise. My short positions in here, I'm actually at break even. I've took some off the table as soon as we came into these lows here. Essentially looking to see if price can trade lower though. I like the idea of coming down into that 1890 area. So yeah, looking to see if we can target that point. But essentially, I actually got on this via the strategy. Weekly's bearish. I like the idea of being bearish on gold. The only thing that was putting me off was the US dollar, the strength. It was on and off, like I just said. That data kind of springboarded the trade forward for now. Whether that continues, obviously, is a different question. But we had the 20 and the 50 moving average in line. We popped above the 50 here on the RSI. We then closed back below the averages. So I ended up taking a position in here, and again, just used ATR stops, targeting that 1890, looking for a bit of a move down as well. But gold also looking like it could continue to the downside. I'm just looking to see if that dollar is going to really push through. That's why I've moved stops quite aggressively on this one as well, because I didn't want to have too much exposure to the dollar. So I've just kind of pushed that position to break even. To show yet Euro yen doing well, but now I'm a little worried about Euro CAD. My CAD yen got stopped at break even too on the news. Weakened CAD a bit too. Yeah, I thought Euro CAD long could be a good idea. It wasn't necessarily a bad idea, I don't think, because obviously you've had the CPI data come in worse than previous. Obviously that fell from 0.7% to 0.4%. So it kind of backs up a potential for, you know, if you're kind of thinking into the future, how does that affect the Bank of Canada's rate decisions? Well, the Bank of Canada maybe would like to pause on that, or, you know, maybe the problem is at the moment, because inflation is still high, the chance of a pause again from the Bank of Canada might be a little bit too soon again. We may see another move from these other central banks as well. So that's the only problem there. I like the euro long because of what President Lagarde has said this morning. So yeah, euro long, I like that. It's just merging the two together. It might not have been the best idea. I like the CAD yen long that you've had. Euro yen long, great, because, you know, I was technically in both of those. I got stopped at break even too. So, hi Codit. Good afternoon. What is your range on gold short? The range. So the way I looked at this one was I was looking at the weekly chart, and I was looking to see if we've come back down into this 1890 area. Just looking to see if we could get some decent sort of targets on that. Yeah, basically we kind of broke out of that range. We were in that range of the 1950 handle, this sort of range in here. I'd say it was ranging between sort of 1980 down to the sort of 1940 level. We traded outside of that. That weekly close really was the thing that opened up for me for a bit of a gold short. So yeah, I was looking now to see if price will come to the next level of support, basically, which I've got marked in as this 1890 handle, and I'm looking to see if we can try and break down towards that point, basically. So yeah, in terms of sort of entries, probably in at sort of around about the 1922 area. So yeah, looking for that kind of move to the downside there. So what's that, about $30 sort of range there to the downside. Roberto, good watch, Stephen Hode. I'm thinking of becoming an F1 driver if he taught trading was more difficult than being an F1 driver. Yeah, very interesting. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if an F1 driver finds trading difficult, then it must be difficult. Was also long EU this morning. London being selling since 2:30. Cool. Yeah. Let's get rid of this. Long this morning. Yeah, it would have been nice long on the 5 minutes, especially these lower time frames, these pullbacks in here. Denise, being cautious this week, being it's the last week of the month and quarter. Yeah, actually, I had a question about this. I don't know whether in the room, but yeah, volatility can really increase due to the end of the month and end of quarter. We can also often see some directional moves coming out of the markets, and that's why I still think there's a potential for yen to actually reach these higher levels, because we may just see the markets push or give one more push into these kind of big levels of interest, being the fact that it is coming towards the end of month and quarter. If price action is key to success, what details is a must to read in the chart to understand the move? When is the market maker done on entering the trade? Would I say price action is the key to success? I think if we were to if I take my little experience that I have, and kind of also kind of look into the experiences where I've been talking to these traders in interviews, I think actually a lot of success comes from having an outside bias of what to look into in the first place, where those markets are going to be moving. I fully understand that you've got 28 pairs to work with, plus commodities, plus stock markets. And a lot of the time, retail traders want to trade all of those assets. But I think what's important is to narrow it down to a couple that are actually moving. So for me, the past 2 weeks has been all about the yen, or the past 3 weeks even has been all about the yen. And if you had just traded those yen markets alone, you would have been really successful. And I think that's more, it wouldn't really matter about the price action on those markets. If I went to pound yen, for instance, pound yen rallied like 500 pips in that one, it might have been, was it 700 pips in that 1 week? And, I was looking to get in pretty much on every sort of move up. I think I was looking for longs around about the 150s. You got the 156 bounce there, but pretty much, let's go to a weekly chart and just zoom in. Ever since we kind of had that touch and a break above 171.50 as well, we've just been sort of one directional, and prices has moved over 1,000 pips in that direction. If you had just looked at pullbacks alone, maybe even looking at buying the highs from 171.50, you would have absolutely sort of destroyed the market. And that's not even I would say, a good strategy, really, buying highs. But if you were looking at sort of breakouts, it wouldn't necessarily have mattered what your price action was, because you've got that driver in the market, which is that yen weakness, right? So I think it's actually more important to focus on what drives a market. Now, you see, I've started lately to put these moving averages and the RSI on the screen. Now, this is an old strategy that I used to use for swing trading. Now, I use a lot of volume stuff in my trade, and I use a lot of cumulative delta, volume profile, market profile in my own personal trading. So some of the times I'll trade euro futures, right? Now, when I'm looking to swing trade, I use these as one, visual help. Two, it also gives you a consistent way of entering the markets. And I think that's what price action is, from my experience, is a consistent way to enter the markets. Because then if you're doing something consistently, you can actually work out if it's working or not, essentially. Let's say my entry criteria, like I've given you a couple today. Let's just jump back to CAD on that hourly. Let's say I only want to be in on CAD for, if it touches the 20 and the 50 moving average, if the RSI goes back below the 50 and then comes back. So let's say I was looking for entries like here. Where else did we have entries? Over here recently, and this one now, right? At least I have a consistent way of entering the market for number one, so I'm not sort of guessing. I have a consistent way of area of putting my stop losses, so I'm not guessing. And then my targets have an overall bigger term target, but my targets then can be incremental on sort of my personal risk basis. So, if I want to open up some risk to another market, let's say I'm trading CAD yen, but I like pound yen as well, and I want to open up some risk there, I can either close profits on CAD yen or close half profits, so that I've opened up some risk elsewhere to be able to use that going forward. But I would say price action is not necessarily the key to success. It's just your key for consistency. Then it also helps to be able to read a market as well. Don't get me wrong. It does help to be able to read a market. And I think there's so much out there on price action that you can kind of come to terms with price action quite quickly. But then you've got the whole mental side of things, like patience and holding a trade, being able to hold a position. Roberto, there's a weekly opening gap on Dixie around 102.85, which may want to close. Okay, cool. We can check that out in a moment. Carey, exactly. You want to add on? What is the hint for this? When you say you want to add on, what do you mean by add on? Sorry, Carey. The chart you have open, would you lean on MA as in like an add-in trade, as in like you want to add into a position? So, okay. So if you want to add in positions, there are two ways that you can go about doing this. The first way is if you believe the trend is going to sort of go in your direction and you want to add in. Let's say that first position there wouldn't have been triggered. So the second position here, let's say that's your entry, your stop loss on an ATR is probably below these lows down through here. So let's say you want to add in on pullbacks. Now, the way I'd be doing that is either taking lower risk entries initially. So that could be, let's say let's say your total risk is 1%, right, of an overall trade, but you don't want to just put 1% on the first position, because if you get stopped out on your 1%, you've lost your 1%. So let's say you want to go in at 0.5%. Right, I'm going to go in at 0.5% risk, just so it gives you a little bit of freedom. Let's say then price starts to carry on. You're in this position here now where you've jumped, you've kind of made two higher highs, two lower lows. There's one thing that you can do. So it's either you want to enter the position next. So let's say it's here with our stop losses below that low. I would drag my stop loss up to the next level and then add in a 0.5%. Okay, so really speaking, you've only still got 0.5% risk in the market because you've moved your stop loss to break even. Now, it depends on your risk appetite as well, obviously. It depends as well if you're, managing funds, and if you're managing funds, you might have some kind of, contract limit on what you can look into. So you might have a drawdown of 10% maybe, or you might have a drawdown of 15, 20, whatever. You also have to consider that. So, maybe if you've caught the trend and you think that this trend is going to continue and you want to try and jump on that trend, you can add in a full 1%, right? Because you almost pretty much covered from your first trade. you know. So there's different ways to do it. If you want to add in positions, I'd probably go more micro way of doing it, of going the 0.5%, wait for price to rally, wait for another entry point, add another half, and then going like that. But I'd also always make sure that your first position is covered. Okay, you want to at least have something out of it. Possible H&S pattern on euro dollar. Let's have a look. Yeah, I can see what you're looking at already here. Yeah, possibly. I mean, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it? Because you've got like, I like the head and shoulders pattern when they kind of end at the sort of horizontal neckline. And we're not really at a major level of resistance, I wouldn't say. I've got the sort of 1.1075 as the sort of point of interest. So if that was up here, I'd be a little bit more interested in that. But this is a little bit choppy. You've got, like I said, you've got that sort of higher high, but then you've got a lower low, and then you've got a potential lower high. So really speaking, that's just a little bit messy for me. And plus, I think there's better markets to trade, right? So if you want to be in on euro, then euro yen is the one, right? Look how clean that is compared to euro dollar. Let's see if we can get some kind of pullbacks on those. You've got euro Aussie potentially. We've been talking about this one for a while. I still haven't managed to find an entry personally for me, but I've missed out on loads. So, this was the first one I missed out on down through here. Second one I missed was here. Third one I missed was here. Fourth one I missed was in here somewhere. So, although we've looked at this market for the past couple of weeks, I haven't actually ended up doing any trades on it, to be honest. Doesn't mean that I don't want to, because you can see 1.6675 is looking pretty good. So maybe I'll keep my hourly chart open and see if we get any kind of decent moves back for any kind of opportunities on this one. There might be a bit of a minor resistance coming up though, so let's have a look at this. Might be the 165 in there. It's going to be probably our little point of interest through there, but that's just unfortunate for us. And again, this kind of points me back to looking at sort of markets that have a direction, because in theory, I've been only really focusing on the yen, which has yielded really good returns. So I haven't really been focused on euro Aussie, but it's still something that has been moving. And yeah, it's just unfortunate that my focus has been elsewhere. But this is the hard part about trading. It's kind of, you've got to have your eyes on absolutely everything. So, it's okay to miss out on a move. Just make sure that when you're in a move, it's a market that is actually doing something. Because I'd hate to be stuck in a market that's doing nothing. S&P, I'm not really bothered by the stock markets at the moment, I must admit. We did kind of touch upon the FTSE last week, but only touched upon it. Potential for downside was obviously because of the interest rates moving higher, and we haven't kind of, pushed beyond this low here. So not really bothered by the stock markets at the moment. Oh, sorry, guys, just punched the microphone. Gold seems to be moving lower, which is good. I need to see how it reacts back down at these lows again. Need to see if it can come back down, trade through those lows there. That would be ideal. See that continuation point. Any questions so far, guys? Got a bit of a big week. Considering overnight we've got a bit of Oz CPI. Tomorrow is the big day, really, isn't it? 3 central bank speeches. Well, actually 4, because we've still got President Lagarde speaking as well. So essentially 4 central bank speakers going off tomorrow. Could be a very, very big day. I think I'll do a bit of a roundup video on the evening for that one. Thursday, we got anything coming up yet? Federal Reserve Chairman Powell's speech again. Also got some unemployment claims out on Thursday. So when we come to the live stream on Thursday, it's probably going to be another sort of analysis breakdown. We'll probably round up what's kind of happened over the past couple of days. But yeah, more data to come. More data to come. Then we got the core PCE on Friday. Again, big data. What is the feeling for yen tomorrow? Mine is up. This is one of those where I wouldn't really like to make a prediction. I'm just going to stick with the yen weakness until it comes to an end, to be honest. I mean, they've got to do something, I guess. We're at previous intervention levels. I actually talked a little bit about it in yesterday's video. If you want to go check that one out on dollar yen. We're at previous intervention levels. You know, a weaker yen isn't necessarily, you know, considering Japan's more of an exporter, you would think that a weaker Japanese yen is quite good. However, there's weak and then there's really weak, right? And they're at a point now where they can't even be competitive. So I think they need to find a good balance. So, you know, we may see another intervention, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. Everyone thought that the Bank of Japan would start increasing interest rates like everybody else did, especially after the Swiss National Bank did as well. They actually thought that the Bank of Japan would hike, and then they didn't. So don't really know what's going to happen. I think not much needed to push the pairs. No, not really. Yeah, I think this yen, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I think it could drive the yen a bit crazy. You come and look at Bitcoin? Yeah, sure. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. We should probably get Denise in on the live stream for the Bitcoin master. Still waiting for a pullback to around 28,500 to get back in on Bitcoin. 28,500 is sort of in and around these areas here. Yeah, quite like that. That's that sort of zone in here, isn't it? 28.5s. In and around there, perhaps. 28,500. And around this sort of zone is where Denise is looking to get in. And I will listen to Denise on this one. Like I said, I'm not really in the Bitcoin market that often, to be honest. So it's not a market I would be jumping and screaming about just because I'm not particularly in the space at the minute. So although obviously it's very interesting seeing the news that institutional money is coming back into the market. I think what really needs to happen for Bitcoin, if it is going to go sky high back to its highs that it reached, then I think some kind of regulation's got to come in. It can be regulated, it will fly, but I don't see how that will happen just yet anyway. Unless it's confirmed break above 31s, yep, of this weekly high. You kind of got your next resistance level up towards the 34s, haven't we? 34s, 35s. Above that, you got the 46s. Yeah, quite an interesting market, especially after these little bullish channels are breaking and whatnot. Yeah, consolidating after last week's move. That's probably, yeah, you're probably correct there. Looks like a little head and shoulders pattern as well. But yeah, we'll see on Bitcoin. Any other markets of interest, guys, that you want me to take a look at? I was looking at cable. Sorry, I was going to talk about cable, but got distracted. Weekly was obviously bearish last week, which isn't great. The only thing we've got here, resilience-wise, for the cable is that the Bank of England want to hike rates even further. Could see us reach the 1.3s on cable. We are kind of flirting with the high at the 127 at the moment, so we kind of come back towards 127, and you can see here the pullback's been fairly shallow. So I was just monitoring the 4-hour time frame because an actual breakout above this high would almost like trigger a bit of a signal trade in there. So I was just watching to see what happens. I've got an alert there because, if price breaks through that, we may see the highs at the 128.50 and then may see the 1.3s. Again, we've got the Bank of England governor talking tomorrow, and he's been fairly hawkish. And the downside pressure for this is that it could affect, obviously, the chances of the UK falling into a recession. How strong are the banks in the UK? Have they been really stress tested? The Bank of England governor has said the banks are okay in the UK. So whether that's true or not is a different sort of statement to look into. But cable could still remain fairly bullish. Yeah, same with pound yen. If we look at pound yen, I mean, the next level for pound yen is the 1.88, which were these highs that formed back in November 2015. We've been talking about longs ever since the break of 176. So, 171.50 actually was where I think I first jumped on talking about longs on pound yen. So 1,200 pip rally since then could see that even further up into the 188s. Just need some kind of, a little bit of a pullback. Wouldn't mind seeing a move back down. We did kind of get a little bit of a strategy move where price came back in and then closed back above the 20. I think at this point I was looking at a little bit more of a deeper retracement, to be honest. But yeah, we ended up kind of hovering around that 180 handle before price really started to take off again. So yeah, cable a lot, pound yen a lot long, just because we've got that yen weakness as well. But it could all change by tomorrow. This analysis could really be different going into tomorrow's trading. So we'll see what happens there. I'm just going to run you through June's promo. Remember, guys, that there is a potential for you to win a professional trading setup. And I will run through the promo now. So let me just get that up for you. Stick around and yeah. Have a look. Hey traders, your professional trade station awaits. Yes, that is right. Blueberry Markets are giving away a professional trading setup. To apply, capture your current trading setup, post it to social media, tag in Blueberry Markets, and remember, terms and conditions apply. So I have seen some of you guys joining in already. I have looked across and I have looked at our Twitter page. I've gotten a lot through Twitter. Let me just have a look to see if there's any on our Instagram. If there's anybody tagged us in your setups on Instagram, let me know. I'll have a little look now. Oh, I haven't seen many setups on Instagram. So if you want to get over to Instagram, remember that each sort of post that you do across social media will give you an extra entry into the competition. And, who wouldn't like to upgrade their trading system, right? 1.268 on pound is what I'm looking for at a retracement. Let's have a little look. 126.80. Yeah, these sort of lows through here, or this sort of candlestick there. Right. 126.80. Yeah, so just below those lows. You might get that. You might get that move beyond that low, maybe, and then something like that. Something like that. But yeah, I think let's go take a look at CAD yen. Let's see where we're at, because I wouldn't mind looking at a pullback entry on this one. whether we get this or not. I like the 109 spot 15. But like I said, it's whether we get it. Whether we get that. We shall see. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for joining me all today. Really appreciate all your comments, questions, and whatnot. If you do have any comments, you can leave them on the live stream after, or yeah, catch me in the next video. So I will be jumping on another live stream on Thursday. Hope you can all join me for that one as well. Thank you for taking your time as well to come and watch. Really appreciate it. If you could leave the stream a thumbs up on whatever platform you're on, I would also appreciate that as well. So thanks for joining me, guys. Hope you have a successful trading week. I will speak to you on Thursday. Thank you.